floating cabin. It's been here since, I think, 1974 or something. It's boat access only, West Coast Vancouver Island, pretty remote. There's a few other floating cabins around this bay. What a day today's been. If you're watching, I'd imagine while you're watching this, I'm recording this yesterday, and right now I should be in the woods. If all went well. And big moment. I got a whole bunch of stuff done today, and got frustrated with the internet having to do this basically at the kitchen table, and I finally got the internet in this room right here, right now. The internet is here. Oh, so exciting for me. See, with all the dozens of projects I got on the go and all the shit I got to do, I basically can only do little tidbits at a time. Tidbit, 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 tidbit. So I've got about 15 different items getting tidbits at a time. So making a milestone like finally getting the internet in here was huge. I had to unbury my PVC pipe between here and the house in the mud to find the connection where I had to have a connector for the two, what's it called? SCAD 6 or whatever it's called. And taped it all up, found it, took it apart, put a new connector in, fixed it. So I got the internet. It's exciting. That means big things are soon to come. It's a lot sooner than I thought. And what I think I may do next time I'm back is maybe we'll time a YouTube Live. For the second time I've ever done it, ever. Third time in a way. I think one time I was on that radio show a few years back, and then I did a YouTube Live a few years ago, and I'm going to do one here. And what we're going to do is you guys are going to help me, and we're going to do a few little tests so I can get this nailed. Okay? So that I can get nailed and have somebody here with me, speaking with you and sharing truth. First-hand truth. So what we will do is I will try to get everything going as best I can alone, which I always am, and then we'll hit the go button. And what I may do, because I don't know how people do it, because on that little laptop I'm not going to be able to see and read the questions that easily, I'm imagining. So I may put a TV bracket up there, and I may hang a big screen TV there and hook it up to it, because that's how I did it before. I just had a laptop hooked into the TV, the large television screen when I did the live thing with you guys on YouTube, and then I can read all the questions clearly. So, anyways, I'm babbling. That's what we're going to do. And then, with the help of you, we'll get it going smooth, so I am confident that I can have someone in here hit the go button, and off we go to the races, right? How exciting is that? And that also helps save me time, because then if I just let it rip live, I don't think I have to edit again, right? It'll just stay up, I believe. So there you go. Now, what am I doing now? Sarah's working. She's working part-time for a local stylist, and another big news, her daughter just got her first job ever today. Kind of confirmation. Big day today. Big day. So I'm very proud of her. She's had basically just prior to moving in here, you would have probably voted her the least to succeed, all due to I'll bite my lip, bit of a monster in her life. And but everything's working out for the much better and rocking it out. Now she's probably the one most voted to succeed in the world. If not change the world, you never know. So absolutely ecstatic and proud for her. Very good day. Alright, now enough about me and my bullshit. Let's get some voices heard. It's late. What is it right now? I think it's about 4:30 or something. Sarah's working until 6:30. Cut one of our turkeys in half lengthwise and frozen that way, so I stuffed a half a turkey in there. So she got a turkey dinner tonight. I gave Maya the choice, either turkey or tuna. She chose turkey, so I'm cooking turkey dinner right now. And I'm going to get these voices heard. And I'm going to get this loaded up. And then I will be able to leave here at 4:30 tomorrow morning, head into the wilds, and film whatever I can, do whatever I can, hopefully knock off some other goals I've got. The wilds, take you all with me. What else? Quick mention on I made a post on the community page I'm just feeling it out, saying, what if? You know, whenever I talk, I'm talking like with all you guys, like we're a bunch of buddies sitting on a job site, just bullshitting. You know what I mean? Bouncing ideas off each other. And as we're all together in this crazy place, I just thought I'd throw it out there and say, hey, what do you think? I wonder how many people could actually do it. How could we stop the planet? Just stop. You know what I mean? Just stop. Stop everything. To clean house. There's many houses that need to be cleaned. And I was curious about that, and so I started a poll. I'm like, well, there's a lot of people here. I wonder if that could actually be a possibility. And how could you really picture it going down? You want to stop everything. Stop paying, stop working, stop moving. Except, of course, our vital places like the hospitals, right? Or getting people medication or whatever. Obviously, we would sustain that, but how long do you think it would take to make a huge difference in the positive if all the people just stopped? Then I really started to picture it. I'm like, okay, well, let's see. Some characters got it together, started promoting, and got a bunch of people together to do it, and then first you have to make sure you took care of your community during this very short time period, I would imagine. And then I put the option of, well, you would do it, but only if you had support of your community. And a bunch of people hit on that. Could you do it absolutely for sure? A bunch of people, yep. As long as they had a good head start, they could do it. Actually, some people actually said there's nothing wrong with the plan quit being stupid. Oh my God. But anyways, that's what I did. Well, that was my motive behind that idea is just basically sitting here at this round table with all of you guys and having a bullshit session. I thought I'd bring it up. So I did. But it only takes one person to start that, right? Let's see what comes. Anyway. Alright, listen to this. Title, this is Red. Haunted Woods, is the title of this email. So today, March 8th, you asked if any of us have learned anything about Sabe. Well, for years we had thought our woods were haunted. Just so weird to go into them. No sound, very still, and that feeling is so strange. So as we've been listening to you, we've learned so much. A little backstory. My husband has lived here most of his life. Land family owned, backs up to a national park. Number one, my husband and a few of his friends went camping. They were ran off. He said it sounded like a freight train was behind them. Had a couple of .22 rifles shooting behind them. It kept coming. Stopped just before they got to his house. Number two, my husband said he and his brother and dog were ran off the same mountain. Number three, my husband saw a large orb come up out of the wet weather creek toward the front yard. Number four, we'd go on an old logging road to cut wood. There is where we noticed there was no noise. No birds, no squirrels, nothing. But noise from interstate. That's when we decided it was haunted. Strange feeling. Number five, a couple summers ago we were having a cookout. Family and a few friends. And kids, of course. Kids were in the pool and we were sitting under a tree relaxing next to the woods. All of a sudden, we heard a tree fall. My husband never found that tree. That's an interesting point you just shared. Shortly after that, we heard a rock be thrown. Every one of us stopped and looked at each other. LOL. Number six, a few months ago, my husband and I were in bed watching TV. All of a sudden, we heard like a bird. To me, it sounded like a crow. Very loud crow. It was very dark and right outside our bedroom window. My husband would not go out. LOL. By number five, after watching and listening to the people, we know what's going on in our woods. And after all that, if my husband goes into the woods for anything, he lets them know what he's doing. So with all that being said, Steve, thank you for getting everybody's stories out and teaching us. We have learned a lot. Sorry for this being so long. I also say, when I leave in the AM for work, please do not make me afraid in the name of the Great One. Thank you and Sarah for being who you are. Prayers for all. This comes from Eastern Tennessee. Cindy, appreciate you emailing that in. And I'm glad it's brought you some sort of understanding to what the hell's going on in the back 40. Tennessee. There's never a shortage of stuff going on in Tennessee. Why is that? Why is that? Crazy. Keep us posted, Cindy. I'm imagining it's not the end of it. If we go by the patterns that mesh up with what you just shared with us. So please send more when you can, when you learn more. Alright, what's this one? Wanda Fuca screams and knocks last night with recorded audio. Wow. Hey Steve, my girlfriend Sarah, dog Jasper, and myself were taking advantage of the Wanda Fuca trail being closed and figured we'd go do some secluded camping. Wanda Fuca trail. So that's west coast of Vancouver Island, right? It starts in Souk, I believe. Haven't been on it. We parked the car on a hidden logging road and bushwhacked our way down to the trail to camp for 2 nights on April 7th near Bear Beach. At 3 a.m. on the second night, I woke up to relieve myself, and after returning to the tent, I lied awake for about 20 minutes before hearing 2 very loud, deep screams / roars echo down from up the creek. I thought maybe it was a big cat, but it sounded much deeper, more like a howler monkey or a singer in a metal band, but much louder as it reverberated through the trees. Sarah slept through it, but Jasper woke up and stared nervously in that general direction, north. It freaked me out, but at the same time I figured there's no sense in jumping to any conclusions. Animals make weird sounds. We went out again about 10 kilometers south of this location for another night on April 13th. This time I brought my audio recorder. Around 1 a.m. it sounds like maybe an animal's flipping rocks near the mouth of the creek looking for food, although it struck me as odd how consistent the sound was. It then escalates to what sounds like loud rock throwing, as you can hear rocks splashing and hitting the bottom of the creek bed, as well as logs being strewn across the creek. Splashing and hitting the bottom of the creek bed, as well as logs strewn across the creek. Maybe even some wood on wood. It was loud. We were completely alone on the beach, and it was pitch black as the moon hadn't come out yet. Forgive me if this is just a common practice for some known animal. However, I had to share my findings with you in case maybe there's something strange going on here. Thanks for listening and keep up the great work with the channel. Kindest regards, Eric Dissereau. Hope I didn't butcher your last name, man. Alright, so I will have to go back, I don't have it here, and download that to my download, save it, get it into the email. I don't have it right here, you guys. And there is lots of sightings along that whole coastline. I recall a couple who noted going down to, I forget the name, is it Botanical Beach? Excuse me, there's a beach you can go down the stairs carved into the timber floor between Souk and Port Renfrew. Oh, I should know the name of that beach, but I forget. I've been down that road I've not been to Port Renfrew to Souk in literally years and years and years, okay? So I'm not familiar with the trail, although I know it was laid down around there. But I do know there was a couple who had seen one of these beings on the beach, on that beach. What else? Obviously Port Renfrew's on fire. I'm not far away from my grandfather ran to that one face-to-face. Fishing guides I know seen them all around Gordon River, Port Renfrew, San Juan River, Souk, East Souk. Yeah, you're right in the heart of it right there. You're right in the heart of sharing the land right there, I should say. So hopefully we'll see what your recording is. I'll have to play it after, unfortunately.
Does it make a difference?
What's that?
Remember earlier you were trying to prove me that place didn't make a difference for heat?
Now, this next one is titled Turner Farm Story and Some Drawings. My grandparents own a 180-acre farm in Ohio near Wheeling and Moundsville, West Virginia. There have been many Bigfoot sightings in the Ohio Valley, but the ancient burial mounds are what's most interesting. There have been hundreds of skeletons excavated there that are proof that giants existed in the Americas. Recently, my mom's cousin Eddie told me a story about an encounter he had while hunting on the property. Before the sun rose, he was heading out to his tree stand and was being followed by something walking bipedal. When he would stop, it would stop. He said a feeling of dread overtook every other emotion inside of him. Ed changed his route and wrote it off as his mind playing tricks on him. When I was younger, I was hiking near the same location with my good friend Jake. We were accompanied by my black lab Seiko and my grandparents' 2 blue heelers, Shep and Joey. After miles of adventure, we stopped below the grandchildren's treehouse for a breather. After a couple of minutes, we heard a strange noise above us. And down dropped a black creature right on top of us. It all happened so fast, but Jake and I took off running. The dogs were squealing and barking at this thing. They surrounded it. At first glance, I thought it was a bear or a panther. For years, I told myself it was a giant feral cat. Recently, Jake said that thing was as big as Seiko. We made it to the yard and started worrying about the dogs. We could still hear the strange noises from down in the valley, but after a couple of minutes, they finally came running up. They had a look on their face and were acting strange the rest of the night. Turner Farm. Thanks for being brave enough to share the truth. Feel free to share. There's some drawings. Okay. These are various drawings. We're missing out a whole pile of details that I would have thought you would have shared. You didn't describe what this thing looked like, how big it was, or if it touched you. You said it fell down on top of you all. Did it just drop down near you? Did it hit the ground running? Did it stand there looking at you? Did it scream at you? Did it make eye contact? What did it look like? Did it touch you? Did it bounce off your shoulders? Do you know what I mean? And then you give us a bunch of hand sketches of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variations of something. Okay, so you can see where the confusion may come with your email. So if you want to email me back what happened? What happened when this thing dropped down? Did it jump in you? Did it slip and fall? What was it? What did it look like? Sounds interesting to me. This one's titled Parents are Southeast Asian natives and have sightings and encounters during the Vietnam War and a Wyoming encounter. Hi Steve, I listen to you just about every day. You have a strong platform and I hope everyone who knows will find this to the place, share their, You have a strong platform and I hope everyone who knows will find this to the place, share their encounter and experiences. This will probably get buried, but here's mine. This might be a long read. I don't know where to start, so I'm just free writing as I go. First off, I have not have any encounters myself. I'll try to explain the encounters and beliefs of Bigfoot in my culture through the eyes of my mother and the elders. I'm Hmong, an Asian ethnicity group originally from the mountains of northern China, and my ancestors migrated and expanded from there to Southeast Asia in the countries of Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand. I'm first generation American born, so we first gens just hear the stories told from the elders that happened during their time at the old country, mainly from Laos and Vietnam during the Vietnam War. A little history before we move on. The Hmongs helped aid the Americans during the Vietnam War. The men and boys as young as 12-year-olds were recruited by the United States to fight communism in the late 60s as the war spread into Laos. We were mainly farmers and lived in small villages along the hillsides of the mountains. We saw communism as a threat to our way of life and independence and did not want to give up what little we already had. Nearing the end of the war, the United States pulled out of Laos. They left many of their allies, the Hmong, to fend for themselves against the NVA, North Vietnamese Army. Those who didn't make the departing buses and planes took their families, old and young, to try to flee into the jungle to Thailand, where war was not present. Story number 1. Let's get to it. My dad was recruited at the age 13 when the war came to Laos. They were assigned to various parts of the countryside and jungle, scouting the jungle, eating wild bamboo shoots, and engaging the enemies at random without warning was as scary as it gets for a teenager when you can barely see through the thick jungle. He said the only time you can kind of see through the jungle is when you stay still. The jungle is alive. You can see what's what if you pay real close attention and become one with the jungle. That's exactly like being here in the timber. Here. That being said, he told a story I remember well. Once their unit was low on rations inside deep in the bush, so they sent 2 guys to the edge of the jungle to find abandoned farmlands to see if they can find some vegetables or anything to eat. One for lookout while the other enters the farmlands to scavenge. The edge of the jungle was a half-day's hike through the thick brush, having to be careful of random ambushes or hidden landmines, so the travel was very slow. They both eventually find some vegetable gardens and packed what they could carry back to the unit. Rations eventually ran low again, so they were told to go back and get more and to follow the same path they took. The sun was going down when they departed the unit. They told the unit it would be safe since they did not see any sign of enemy activity at the abandoned farm site, and they will be sleeping at the farmland and would go back the next evening with what they could find. At every farmland or garden, the farmers built little wood huts or open platforms that sit about 3 to 5 feet off the ground so they can rest while the sun is at the highest while tending to the land. The reason of the raised platform is to keep pests and bugs from crawling up to you while you rest in case a tiger decides to wander into the land if you sleep at night, so you have a higher advantage point to defend yourself. This random farmland, the 2 soldiers left, 2 had a small hut which had an open platform and a straw roof overhead. The 2 soldiers made it there sometime in the middle of the night and decided to rest in it so they can regain the strength to gather food and for the trip back at sunrise. They took turns sleeping, one for lookout while one sleeps. Not too long after the first slept, the one looking out heard single footsteps coming some distance away. Fearing it was an NVA scout closing in, he woke the other guy up. Armed with M16s, they raised their rifles into the dark where the noise was coming from. Tempted to use a flashlight to see what was closing in, they decided to wait until the final moment, when whatever got close was to open fire or not. As the footsteps got closer, they were aware it was bipedal, the way it moved towards them, but did not want to shoot in case there could be more enemies waiting at the jungle line. As the footsteps came to a stop near the hut, they both paused, panicked, and opened fire. The next morning, nearing the afternoon, the 2 have not returned back to their unit squatting in the jungle. My dad's small unit decided to go find the 2 missing soldiers and eventually track them down. Both men were severely beaten and unconscious but alive. My dad can see the scuffle in the dirt, and the unit made quick makeshifts of bamboo and straw bedding to carry the 2 back into the jungle in case the NVA was nearby. When the first soldier woke up, his unit asked if the NVA had beaten them. His answer shocked the unit. He told them he was on first watch. Then he heard footsteps come from the jungle line and walked towards where they were resting. Not being able to see anything, he woke up his partner and they shot at whoever that stopped at the foot of the hut. He said it was not an NVA soldier. He kept saying it was a Maolu. That's a man-like ape word for us. When they fired, they said they could see it clear from the muzzle flash. It was an arm's length from their face, pretty much looking down the barrel of the rifles. They saw its face. A man-like face, but not ape-like. Oh, sorry. A man-like face, but ape-like body covered with red, orange hair covering the body. It grabbed them by the legs, dragged them around, and beat the crap out of them. The bullets, they said, did nothing to it when they shot it before remembering getting grabbed. Last thing he remembers is being thrown around until he went unconscious. Oh my God. When the other soldier became conscious, was questioned, and he confirmed the other soldier's story as well. And this was the only encounter my dad's unit experienced during the time in the jungle. I heard this story when I was in middle school while we had a gathering at my parents' place. The elderly Hmong veterans were sitting around a table and sharing the strange times during the war. Holy shit! Wow. I don't doubt that one for a second. There's just too many veterans emailed in about those, quote, rock apes, end quote, attacking them. Wow. Story number 2 is coming from my mom. I was at my mother's house for dinner. As my mom was cooking, I turned on her TV, flipping through the channels. I stopped at a channel, and it was the documentary on the Patterson-Gimlin film. If you've seen the documentary, they constantly played the video of Patty over and over throughout the show. I just thought it was entertaining. Anyways, Mom gets done cooking, and I helps at the table and left the TV running. We sit down and eat. A couple of minutes go by, and my mom says, "They have these things here too?" Excuse me, I was like, "What? Bigfoot? I guess, I don't know." Then she says, quote, "We saw them all the time when we hid in the jungle for 3 years after the war." I was shocked, and I asked her to tell me more. She said, "Every day in the jungle, you had to relocate because we were hunted down by the NVA. You didn't know where you're going most of the time, and most of the time you're just trying to stay real quiet and find food. You get really deep into uncharted places of the jungle, places no one has ever been. Sometimes you see them, a glimpse of them, and sometimes you see them hiding in small trenches they dig under a tree trunk, and they are still, very still. You don't bother them and they don't bother you. This is their home, and we're just passing through." I asked if they look like the one on TV, and she says, "Kinda, but more reddish orange. Kinda like a monkey covered in hair. Same size as a human, and walks like a human being on 2 legs." Wow. Story number 3. This takes place around 2010 in Wisconsin near Black River Falls. I had an uncle who loves hunting. Hunts and fishes every chance he gets. The one year this happened, he was out on a 60-acre land he rented out for many years. He's up on his usual tree stand. It was gun season. A few hours in, nothing much was happening. Not even a chipmunk making any noises. Odd, he thought. When he realized there's actually no noises at all in the woods. Dead silence. He said there might be a predator nearby, like a coyote or a bear. Uncle begins to slowly turn around, glaring around the trees and bushes. That's when he saw something unusual. Very familiar with the area that he has hunted with many years, thought to himself, "What the F? What the F is that?" About 25 yards to his right, he said it looked like a huge, dark, broken or fallen tree trunk with a few branches spread, covered in dirty, matted moss, laying on the ground that wasn't there before. If that makes sense. He thinks to himself, like, what the F? How the F have I never noticed that there? Then suddenly, the tree trunk looking thing just pushed off the ground slowly and gets up and stands on 2 legs. Still confused, he was like, "That ain't no tree. That's a big-ass person?" Uncle said he thought it was a big white guy in a blackish-brown camo suit like the snipers used to camouflage themselves with their environment, and they were effing with him until he saw its face. That thing, somehow, must have quietly crawled within 25 yards of my uncle, unbeknownst, and stood up just staring at him. He said, the face wasn't right. It was like a human face, but not. Uncle pretty much jumped off the tree stand and bolted all the way back to his car. Never hunted since. And that's all the details he told us, and he doesn't like to talk about it much. Sorry for the long post. Hope you get to it. Probably a lot of typos since I'm on break writing on my phone. I've yet to ask the many elders on the strange encounters during their time with the 8 man. I know there's more truth out there. Thank you. My name is Nia Chua. You can say it if you want to. And I did. Nia, I absolutely appreciate you. I could have read that for a week. As long as you kept writing, I was going to keep reading. Wow. That's a triple, quadruple wow. And that's a holy cow, we appreciate you moment. Hearing directly from the elders of what they see and experience. That is pure gold. Especially today. Especially today. I do believe that the senior aged people portion of our communities are not being heard enough. Especially today, right? The wrong people are being heard today when it comes to the louder voices online. But when it comes to this topic, everybody counts. I love hearing from everyone. But sometimes I just especially love hearing from our elder members, especially directly from what they have seen and what they know firsthand. They pass it on like that. That is gold. We've got a good handful of people who wrote in about the rock apes, they called them in Vietnam. And when you were explaining the stories of them having to elude and go into the jungle and move at night, all I was thinking about was cobras and tigers. Oof. You know, I finally went and saw some tigers in Thailand this winter, and I'm just looking at those animals. They are something else to see. They are something else to put your eyes on. And I automatically went to picturing them in the timber, in the jungle, stalking my ass. I'm like, oh God, no thank you. Apparently a tiger still blatantly just jump in the water and swim over and snatch people off canoes in India. Would that be creepy? 5, 6 guys, and there was a video clip of one diving out of the jungle, broad daylight, huge. There was like 6 or 7 of these indie men on a dugout canoe with long poles, and they were just smacking those poles in the water towards that thing like as fast as they could, and it detoured it. It turned around. But man, could you just imagine sharing the forest with tigers? Could you imagine that? I mean, we got enough going on here. Cougars, wolves, coyote, Sasquatch, grizzlies, right? Black bears. Yeah, appreciate that share, man. Absolutely appreciate that share. And if you do eventually hear more, please send it. Please send it. I am curious. All right, we've got another one titled Camp Lejeune Marine Encounters, and here's proof of service. DD-214 included. Wow. Mainly sharing the military document as proof of my background and location. If you served the U.S. military, you have a DD-214, so here's mine. Steve of Senior Subscribers report from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Here's attached to my military DD-214, showing I was there during the height of the war on terrorism. I myself had a weird encounter at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. The previous emails are spot on. Sorry, thought I saw my pesky raccoon. I think it's a cat. My encounter, the previous emailers are spot on about the area of Sneed's Ferry Gate and other areas. My encounter was at LZ Bluebird, a training area in the back of Camp Lejeune. We were doing pre-deployment training for Afghanistan on my second deployment. We were all taken off the range. We were all told to go back to a staging area on the main side of Camp Lejeune. They told us we had comm issues. Their story was our radio went down, and without a radio to report for safety reasons, training had to be halted. Yes, this is true. But there was no reason to rush us out and relocate all of us, especially when we were spending the week in that area. Halt training, yes, but no reason to leave when we already set up a small FOB, or forward observation base, while our radio guy figured out the crypto issues with the comm gear. Later on, whispers of a creature being spotted circulated. I didn't see it myself, but rumor had it something was lurking watching Marines training that night. But 2 years later, fishing on a small river 2 miles from Camp Lejeune, main gate, at night, I had a weird experience. There was 3 of us fishing. For anyone familiar with Camp Lejeune, Jacksonville, North Carolina, you'll know the one main strip off RT-17 when you leave the main gate heading into town. You pass a main drag on your right. That McDonald's on the corner. Well, about a mile or two after that on the left of RT-17 was a small river. We took our poles and tackle and hiked through the dense brush a few hundred yards and began fishing. At some point, we all got an uneasy feeling. As we continued to fish, a buddy of mine said he had to leave. Now I questioned if he's seen it, and was too scared to mention it out of fear of ridicule. Across this small river, we're talking 50 feet at this spot, an animal was rooting around, breaking limbs and making a ruckus. I assumed it was a giant black bear. This bear was climbing a tree about 10 feet high and just looking at us, from what I recall. You could see a dark silhouette in the moonlight coming through the trees. I pointed out this said giant bear. My other buddy and I agreed it was time to pack up and leave. There was no further activity or issues that I noticed. No. My question is, I've never seen a black bear in Camp Lejeune. I've seen them outside of Jacksonville, but not there. It wasn't until a few years down the road and your channel that I wonder, was that a black bear holding onto a tree looking at us, or an 8 to 10 foot tall individual peeking from a tree making a ruckus to get us to leave? I'll never know, but what I do know, if the feeling that I had at the time was a feeling no bear back home in New England ever gave me when we crossed paths. The talk of wood boogers was something I heard there on being... The talk of wood boogers was something I heard there, and being New England born and raised, the term booger wasn't in my vocabulary, nor was Sasquatch being real. So to add to the previous emails about Camp Lejeune, I've had many weird nights there, and can now put 2 and 2 together. Now confidently, and say these creatures are everywhere, including Marine Corps Base, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. To anyone else that served at Camp Lejeune, have you seen something? Don't be scared to share it. I'm sure there's many more like myself that had some weird nights there and are glad people came before us to this channel and weren't scared to share it. God bless and stay safe, Steve. There it is. There's the document. And I don't believe we need to share your personal document on the internet, do we? I've got it all. I've got everything here. Alright, man. Yeah, I'm not going to share all that. There's too much personal information here. But thank you for being trusting with me. Appreciate that. And we got your back. I certainly am glad you came forward. And that many men out there, and that bold of movements they did in front of all you soldiers. I'll guarantee you there's more people that were there that have seen these things, and they are here in this channel listening. I will guarantee it. Not a doubt about it. Anyway, so for all of you others who are probably got big wide eyes and shaking your head up and down saying, I knew it, there's more people that seen it besides me at Camp Lejeune, email it in. Get it to me. You don't want your name shared? I won't share it. I won't share nothing, man. If you ask me not to share something, I'm not sharing it. And if I decide it's too personal, I'm not going to share it. Because we just don't need to, right? But, do it. Email me. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Get it off your chest. Share what you've seen. Where you've seen it. What happened. How many other people saw it. And especially share with us if you were told to shut up. And by who. And share with us if some other so-called government-looking individuals showed up that you weren't familiar with on the base after this shit went down. I'd be curious to know if that went down as well. Wow, right? Anyway, moving along. What can I add in here? I don't think too much. At the end of the day, holy shit, you guys. Reading is putting me to sleep, but anyways, I'm stoked to have the internet in here finally. You know how long it's been I've been doing this damn room? Well, the whole shed, the whole shop, the whole barn, the whole frickin' farm. Getting the internet in here is a massive relief for me. So I can't wait. After this weekend, we're going to go live. Who knows, maybe even this Sunday. We'll see what happens. And We're going to get this place dialed in. You guys are going to help me, all right? What else? Yesterday's video. That would have been this morning's video that I recorded. Don't forget. The people who have helped keep honest testimonies hidden. The people that have taken the stories of brave individuals who didn't ask for this shit and taken their stories after they were brave enough to share them with them and changed them. Those same people who have absolutely went out of their way and willingly, intentionally taken part in annihilating good, hardworking, honest people's careers and names. They are about to get exposed. Every one of them. Especially one of the main ring leaders. I'm looking forward to doing what I can to help this go down. Why? Because all of you deserve that respect. All of you. Especially all the people who've had a negative impact from these people. You deserve this. And they deserve this. Right? They deserve to have their truths shared publicly because of what they have done to all of you intentionally for many years. It is true. It is true. And I'm not scared. I'm definitely not scared. Not a frickin' chance in hell. I absolutely love handing the asses back to the culprits who intentionally harmed the good people. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, I'm going to help this rather large group of people do what's right while getting absolute crazy ass truth delivered to all of you. There you go. Take from it what you will or leave it. I'll be back shortly. And I hope, while you're reading this, I am pulling off what I'm trying to pull off in the woods with my cameras. I'll be back shortly. Oh, it's got my wind.